Welcome, everybody, to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is Billy Mandarino. He's an author, a speaker, and Now-ist, teaching people to be more aware of the gifts of the present moment. Get his hit book, Now-ist, at billymandarino.com, or, of course, available on Amazon, Audible, and all those other good places where you can buy books. It is a great one. We are also here on behalf of Playful Humans. That's my project where I have a community of adults trying to rediscover the power of play. I say rediscover because you already know how to play. You were born with genius levels of play. You just forgot about it. So let's fix that. Here we go. Don't wait for tomorrow. That's my move. I like the tiny. All right, Billy, we like to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week is brought to you by auctions. Auctions. I was hooked on auctions after going once, going twice. I was sold. All right. What is the difference between a snowman and a snow woman?
You got me.
The snowballs. All right. I figured we're getting into winter. It was time to bust that one out.
That's good.
Get started in the good
Timely.
mood.
I love it. Love your show. Playful Humans. Brilliant.
Well, I love the Now-ist because that's really one of the things for me that I love about play is that it puts you into the present moment. You can't be distracted by the future or worrying about the past. If you're in a play state, you're in one of those flow states where you're fully present and engaged with your life. And I love that that's your mission. So tell us a little bit about Now-ist, the book, and how it came to be.
Well, you hit onto something that's just near and dear to my heart. Living as a child, childlike bewilderment. It's one of the chapters in the book. And I always think of childlike bewilderment from a quote by Rumi. Have you heard of Rumi's a brilliant Persian poet. I think he wrote this quote in the 1200s. He just says, sell your cleverness and purchase bewilderment. And it's so good, I got to say it again for your listeners and viewers. Sell your cleverness and purchase bewilderment. I mean, that sounds like a playful human, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's so important to get out of the thinking mind and the worldly mind of paying the bills and taking care of the emails and the schedules and the family, the kids. You got to get in that childlike bewilderment to let go of time and get out of stress. And I mean, if you ever look at kids, Mike, that are playing in the playground, you know, there's Batman, there's Wonder Woman. They don't care who's looking at them. They don't care what's going on. They're in the moment, the present moment. So if you ever want to look at some Now-ist, go to a playground, a sandbox, a schoolyard with young kids. They're in the present moment. And that's literally part of the book, is teaching people how to live as playful humans, how to live in that childlike bewilderment, how to get out of this time-bound world that is dishing you out stress and what I like to call infobesity. We're all obese with information right now. Too much news, too many negative headlines, and it hurts our ability to connect to other human beings. So live in that bewilderment and you'll find your present moment much easier.
Oh, I totally agree. And you hit on something for me there. I think technology and information has actually hurt our ability to be in the present. We were promised that it would give us our present back, that it would give us more time, and we'd be able to focus on what's really important, and we could offload all of these unimportant tasks to technology. But the opposite has actually happened. It's distracted us so much now that it's almost impossible to get into flow, and that it has taken charge of us. So it's controlling our moments versus the other way around. How do you look at technology or even maybe just, I hate the phrase time management because I think about energy management and instead as so much more important. But I'm wondering, when you're talking about Now-ist, I think people immediately kind of think of, oh, well, I need to manage my time and get my priorities straight so I can work on the thing that's important. And I don't think that's quite it. You want to help us out?
You're absolutely right. That's not it. It's an energy. We're all energy. We all come from energy. We all return to energy. It's all energy. And your thinking mind tends to take you out of your heart, where this kind of the main source of your energy. If you didn't know this, but your heart is magnetic. There's a 9-foot energy field that goes forwards and backwards. And it's called a tube torus. It creates, like, the earth has this magnetic, the polarities, the North Pole and the South Pole. It creates this torus field. It looks like, if you cut up an apple in the middle, you'll see that shape. It shows up in nature, but it creates this toroidal feel, and your heart has this energy. So when you're feeling upset, you're feeling stressed out, that energy wanes because your thinking mind takes you out of what's called coherence. When you can think and you can feel, and in conjunction, you create coherence. And that's how you beat time. That's how you get out of this crazy time-bound world. And time has been kind of this biggest distraction, I think, to all of us, because we don't know how to manage our time. We get caught up in tasks and doing and having to compete with the Joneses. And that takes you out of time because it's your thoughts. You're thinking about people's opinion of you, and you're thinking about what you have to do tomorrow, what you messed up yesterday. You're failing basically most of the time. And speaking about being out of time, there's this great Harvard study that proved that 47% of the time, when you're at the gym with somebody, when you're in a meeting, or even when you're talking to somebody on a podcast, 47% of the time, we are not here now in the present moment. Your brain is not where your feet are. Your thoughts are not where your feet are. Half the time, virtually half the time, we're distracted. We're thinking about, how to make dinner tonight, or the thing I got to do tomorrow, or I got to pick up my daughter from volleyball. You're thinking about other things and truly being present. So what's happening is we're conditioned to be out of time, because in this world of the 10,000 things, as Lao Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Ching, says, you're in this world of the 10,000 things, but there's nothing to do. You're just being done. That's a concept that I talk about in my book, but there's nothing to do. If you can get in the being, it sounds corny, but we're human beings, not human doings. But most of us get caught up in the reverse. We're always human doings. The being is like this backyard, this back seat thing that we take care of every once in a while. We go to church on Sunday, or it's convenient, or somebody said, hey, do this meditation, or, you really should think about breathing, or you should connect back to your heart center. It has to be a way of life. And my book, The Now-ist, teaches you how to live as a Now-ist, as a way of life. I live 90% of my day in present moment awareness. 10% of the day, it hits the fan, it goes sideways. I just know how to correct quickly. I know how to come back, how to stay out of stress, this thing that's been killing the world. Stress is just this overwhelm, this anxiety. Of course, what we're all going through right now, it's taking us consistently out of our awareness. So I'm just driven more than ever, given what's going on now in our world with the pandemic and with people's stress levels at all-time highs. How can I help more people? I'm so grateful I'm on your show, because this is how I've been helping a lot of people lately. There's been a lot of podcasts lately, and it helps me ramp up this mission of creating this legion of Now-ists, people that live in the present moment, out of stress. Then when you feel good, you just want to give it away. You want to help other people. And that's the beauty of learning how to be a Now-ist, how to live in presence.
Well, you kind of alluded to it in 3 different places there, but my next question for you was going to be kind of this question of productivity and abundance, because I think people who are not in the present moment are worried about the future or the past or resources or some wrong that was done to them, or that they're not going to have enough. And they'll say, oh, great, Mike and Billy, you guys get to go play for a living, but I can't do that. I have to feed my kids or pay my mortgage or whatever. But I found the opposite to be true, that people who get paid for who they are get paid about 10 times what people are who get paid for what they do, because you can only do so much as a human being, but you can be something incredible to other people that's much more valuable. And so I love what you said, the being and the doing, but I think there's also that abundance that you can give more when you have more attention, when you have more flow, when you're creating more of abundance. You can then give that to more people. When you're worried about scarcity, you're always collecting. You're not able to be generous in that way either, right?
Well, I love quotes. I'll give you another great quote. This is from Hafiz. Hafiz says, just look at the sun. The sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Just imagine what a love like that does. It lights up the whole sky. Isn't that great? When you think about it. So if you can think about, how can I shed light on other people? How can I give to other people? How can I be kind to other people? When you come from that place of how can I serve, but not what's in it for me, your life gets better, because this thing called the law of attraction activates, and you're acting like the sun. You're acting like, I have abundance. I'm going to give a little bit of what I have away today, just as a way of life, as a habit. I'm going to find a homeless person, an elderly person that's alone, and go read to them. Just spend some time focusing on somebody other than myself. Then this crazy thing happens, this universal law of attraction. And the Bible is called the law of identical harvest. It just means you give and it will be sent back to you. And I, to speak tactically for a moment, I do a lot. I don't say this to be braggadocious, but I manage about 100 properties as a property manager. I sell a lot of properties. I have a beautiful wife that I've been married to for 27 years. We have a gorgeous 15-year-old daughter. We have a dog. I'm a very low handicap golfer. I'm a musician. I had a new record come out May 6th. You know, I do shows. I'm involved in all the philanthropic organizations. I do all this stuff. And I do it with such a minute amount of stress that would blow your mind, because I've learned to live this way. And I understand the power of one. And that's the quickest way to get you out of stress. It's a simple concept, but do you do it? And I find that most people I work with, because I do one-on coaching, they don't know the power of one. Hey, Mike, what is NOW spelled backwards?
WON.
And that sounds like
a one.
One.
And now
when you're in the now, you've won. You've won your presence back. It's also a homonym, ONE, one. Whenever you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, I got so much to do. I have a calendar that's sometimes loaded with 15, 20 appointments, because I've got all these properties. I've got a lot that I do and serve and create, and a lot of being in this world takes a lot of time and physical time. But when I can get connected consistently to that one thing, that one of the 20 that's in front of me, and not like that Harvard study where 47% of my time I'm away from other people, I'm thinking about other things, even I'm with them, my attention and my awareness is somewhere else. I literally have conditioned myself to focus on the one. In that oneness, you can transmute your life. It's like that book, The Alchemist. You can take base metal and turn it into gold. And that gold is your presence, when you can live consistently out of time, in this moment, in service, focused on what it is you have to do at the moment, that task. It's incredible, because then you're serving that situation. It doesn't cause problems for your next appointment. Just try it. When you can learn to live as a nowist and be consistent in the present moment, your whole life will change. Your relationships, emotionally, socially, spiritually, financially, your whole life will change. Simple.
I think that's one of the things that people miss the most, is the exponential power of that personal presence. That when you start attracting people, and people who play for a living are more attractive because they smile more, they're more physically fit because they move and play, they don't sit on the couch and watch Netflix, they make more money because people are attracted to that, and they find more happiness and success, have more confidence and creativity. When you add all those things together, it's not a little difference, it's a big difference. And then that attracts more opportunities to you, because you're not pushing things away and turning people off with your frown and your furrowed brow and all the stress that you're creating. So I love everything that you just said, but I wanted to roll it back a little bit, because I really appreciate you sharing what you're doing now. But sometimes I feel like that throws people off, because again, they're like, okay, well, yeah, great, you have all that going on, you can go play golf on Friday, Billy, but again, like, I'm not there. So were you always playful, or did you take a sidetrack and how to find it? How did you get to this philosophy?
Like Mike, great question. Like everyone else who's listening, watching, just being human beings, being in this physical time-bound world, we're going to push up against a bunch of resistance. And how do you build muscle? You have to push up against resistance. How do you build spiritual muscle? You have to push up challenges in life. You have to have problems and struggles and strife. And I've found that my problems have been one of the greatest teachers and blessings in my life. Recently, talking about, not too far back, a couple months ago, February 16th, I got out of a hospital after learning how to walk again. I was paralyzed for 21 days. I got COVID. From that COVID, I got it back January 8th is when I tested positive for COVID. And then a couple of days later, I lost the ability to walk. Then a couple of days after that, I was in the hospital. Completely, I'm claustrophobic. And I had to spend 4.5 hours in an MRI tube. And I can tell you, I was praying, chanting, doing the meditations from my book, just living out of time, getting in that quantum realm, because I was terrified. But from that COVID experience, I got Guillain-Barré syndrome. And if anybody that knows what Guillain-Barré syndrome is, it's a kind of a malady that affects your immune system, where the immune system goes crazy and attacks the myelin sheath around your nerves. So that's why I lost the ability to walk. I was numb head to foot. Wow. And it took me 21 days, 21 nights in a hospital, from going into that coffin, I call it my COVID cocoon, in that MRI chamber, to coming out of that and walking with a cane. 2 weeks later, I shed the cane and then became, it was miraculously became symptom free. I lost 20 pounds, have no hangover, numbness, or lame limbs, or all these things, these hangover conditions that happen from people that get Guillain-Barré. I just feel like it's a miracle. And a lot of what I taught, the doctors at Cottage Hospital were world class. They saved my life. But the other part that they can't quantify, because I've been studied by infectious disease, thinking, how is it this guy got Guillain-Barré syndrome from COVID? I'm the only one in the county. 460,000 people in Santa Barbara County. I was the only one to get Guillain-Barré from COVID. But I tell you that short story, there's a really long version. It's been in the paper. There's lots of stuff going on, still showing this story, because it's a miracle and they can't figure it out. But I know the truth is, and you can't quantify this, you can't put this in some data chart, but it was living in my imagination. It was living in that childlike bewilderment. It was using my imagination, my meditation, my breath, my heart center, my coherent thoughts to get me out of that claustrophobic chamber, to get me out of that COVID cocoon that I was in, to learn to walk again, and to miraculously heal my body, to upregulate epigenetic DNA expression in my system to heal itself faster. And that's kind of living out of time. And that's what I'm all about. And so I blessed this problem, because this problem, I had my seminar like a month after I got, 2 months after I got out of the hospital. It was all meant to be. Like, I blessed that problem. That problem allowed me to be on many podcasts, TV shows, the newspaper, to get this story out there, to help people who are suffering with not just COVID, not just ailments, but how to use this subjective, kind of untangible part of your being, which is your awareness, your imagination, how to shift what happens in your life and how you heal from past traumas and how to get through them.
Oh, that's amazing, and a crazy story. I can't even think about follow-up questions because I can't even relate to what that would be like. So I'm going to go in a different direction and ask you about your music and how you play. Like, what do you do? It sounds like you do a lot just for fun and the enjoyment of it. That's most of your life. But tell me about the music and the golf and what that sort of play brings to your life and why it's important.
Well, you know, I've been a musician, gosh, since I was 13 years old, and I worked really hard when I was 25 to get a big time record contract. That's all I wanted. And I fell in love with my wife at 25. And so kind of the champion of my heart, I was thinking I want to be this rock star. You know, my heart went out. And I said, you know, I still do music. I still produce music and perform done 500 live shows. You know, our record just came out. I've done 3 or 4 records with different bands and projects throughout the years. But my wife and I, when we met synchronistically, which was just fate, it was just meant to be. I fell in love with her on a crowded dance floor in Lake Havasu, Arizona, March 28th, 1992. I'll never forget it. And that became like the champion of my life. But music, then I wrote this beautiful song for our wedding, and I performed it for her at the altar of the old mission where we got married, and written songs for my daughter, my friends, and written songs for, you know, my partner and I write songs to get into TV shows. And we just music has become this expression of my life. And I always write from a place of inspiration and authentic feelings that come out through my experience in life. And the music that comes from that authentic self is always sweeter. I don't think about writing hits anymore. I think about writing songs that inspire people because I've been inspired by it. If people can tell when you're kind of posing, you're trying to formulaically trying to create a song. And so the book, The Now-ist, that came out in 2018, you know, we wrote 8 songs for this book and that we presented at our live seminar on May 7th and 8th. Our next seminar is coming up in May. We have the same 8 songs. We wrote a 10-song record, but those songs came out of inspiration for this teaching. So the songs that we wrote were all about connecting back to the present moment. And the songs tell stories about how, you know, just like my Guillain-Barré's adventure, my COVID cocoon adventure, and how you get through the hard times and how you can focus on better things and how your inspiration can take people with you on that journey. If you tell a story in a song, country music is just the best genre of music for telling stories. Our music is more pop and a little more mainstream, but I'm all about storytelling in songs. And then the golf component, you know, golf chose me, gosh, when I was probably 21. You know, I was always been an athlete, high school athlete. I didn't go to college, but I was always been a high school athlete that loved sports. And so I got this new sport that kind of synchronistically once again found me through a mutual friend, and I became just hooked on it. The game, I think, is the most difficult sport ever invented. It becomes kind of like your best friend when you get good at it. And then your best friend leaves you and moves away for a long time. And then all of a sudden it'll come back and all of a sudden I just had a great game the other day. All of a sudden I play, you know, the next time you play, it's not the same course. It's not the same game. So it's amorphous. It's constantly moving. I just love the challenge. I call it being out on that great green ocean of possibility, because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I think that's awesome. There's a lot to unpack there, but I love what you said about golf. That I think one of the great things about play or great challenge that puts you in flow easily is it's just out of reach, right? Like there's no finish line. There's no like I mastered the game of golf. I'm done forever for the rest of my life. And I think music is the same way, right?
Yeah,
You play it
absolutely.
once, but you never quite play it the same. And you can always do better. You can always do something else with it and continue to be creative off of it. I think that to me is what makes the most interesting play and the most interesting life is where it's not a checkbox. It's not a list of to-do things that I have to accomplish today. And if I check them all off, I'm a winner. And if I check them all, I don't, I'm a loser. It's this spectrum of possibility and challenge and uniqueness that adds so much more interest to your life and so much more engagement.
You're so right. Absolutely. And that's what's great about golf is it teaches you to live in the present moment because you can only focus on that one shot in front of you. You think about the bad triple, double bogey, whatever, you lost your ball in the last hole and you bring that energy into this current shot, or you're worried about this really difficult hole coming up. You don't put any awareness into that shot. You hit a bad shot. It's just like life. So golf has kind of become an analogy for life for me, living in that present moment, living with my imagination and my full awareness and attention in that one shot, which is great for almost every sport. I mean, living as a Now-ist works for everything. My book is for anybody that has stress, overwhelm, anxiety in their life, which is basically everybody, because we all deal with it, especially the youth right now. My daughter's 15. I have a new mission of just helping the youth. The teen suicide rate has gone up exponentially through COVID. So I've been invited to speak to schools via Zoom. Before that, I was speaking to them in person at assemblies, but I've done that for quite a few years, just really trying to help our youth get out of time and back into the present moment and teaching them simple concepts and practices and rituals, morning rituals and habits to change that. Because that's how life doesn't happen unless you change your habits. I mean, change only happens when you change your habits.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit deeper because that was actually going to be my next question. If you could go back and give advice to yourself at 15 or to other young adults to help them kind of not get off track and realize this before they get into the rat race of trying to build a career and be successful or be famous or make money or whatever it is, what advice would you give? And then it sounds like more about that Nowist philosophy of how you do that through journaling and meditation and other things. Like how does this actually work? Because I know it's one of those things that's easier said than done, right?
For sure, absolutely. Well, it's just like golf. People think, oh, I can go hit a golf ball. I can, I can go play tennis. And yes, but can you do it at a level that doesn't feel competitive? Can it start to choose you as kind of a way of life? And that's what I challenge everybody to do, is to get into whatever it is. It's all relative. Whatever in your life inspires you, whatever gets you up and you're thinking about it, you're excited to go back to, your heart is like the magnetics of your heart are starting to expand and your awareness is expanding and you get this excited feeling in your stomach, you get butterflies. I mean, those are when because I help people find their purpose. I have a lot of people help find their purpose. Like people say, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I mean, I'm retiring or I'm going into college or what am I going to do with, the rest of my life? And the Joneses are just beating me up all the time. Because speaking of the youth, there's this great song by a band called the Chainsmokers. The song's called Sick Boy. I don't know if you ever heard it, Mike.
No, I know the Chainsmokers, but I don't know.
The bridge is awesome. The song is called Sick Boy. Look it up. And the bridge says, feed yourself with my life's works. How many likes is my life worth? And I think about our youth, and that song, of course, is a very popular song among the youth. And they get so caught up in thinking, how many likes is their life worth? What is my value is caught up, and cyberbullying is still a thing. And bowling in general has been a thing. But lately, people get so caught up in comparison mentality that they live, in these other people's expectations of them instead of in their own presence, in their own power, in their own imagination and inspiration. And Mark Twain has a brilliant quote about this. He says, comparison is the death of joy. Comparison is the death of joy. And you think about it, when you start to compare yourself, like if I'm comparing myself to other musicians, if I'm comparing myself to Tiger Woods, I'm always going to be disappointed. Like I'm not having Grammys lined up. I don't have a record on the Hot 100, but I come from a place of how can I serve with my inspiration? How can I do what I do from a place of not what's in it for me, but how can I get the joy out of this and share it with other people? And if our youth can get that mentality of, you're not comparing yourself. If you can just realize that you are just the way you're supposed to be. We wrote this song, a song on our records called Fingerprint. And it's talking about, being unique, being an individual, how you are like a snowflake or a pink fingerprint. There's just one of you here for a reason. I don't know about, your religious or spiritual belief, but I believe we all came here in this life, in this embodiment for a purpose. There's no accidents in this divinely organized universe. There's no just this happenstance, or God doesn't make dirt. You know what I'm saying? It's like things are here for a purpose. So to find your purpose is really important. And then I think of Abraham Maslow when I think about purpose, because he was one of the fathers of self-actualization.
Right.
And he says, when you can become independent of the good opinion of other people and simultaneously detach from outcome, you become self-actualized. And that's what I'm trying to impress upon the youth and teach the youth that I work with individually as one-on-ones or in some of my group work. It's about how can you detach from outcome and become independent of people's opinion of you. That's the work. That's the deep work. And even for adults, I mean, that's don't you find that is the challenge? Like, how can I detach from outcome?
Yeah, I think it's everything, especially when we're talking about play or just being the best version of yourself. And no matter what it is, at work or with your family or whatever, it's when you're trying to be something you think you should rather than going with what your natural strengths and abilities are. And there's so much in this world, from advertising, telling you. I watched a documentary recently about soap or whatever. It was on Netflix Explained. And it's like, you know how many people are spending billions of dollars to get you to put soap on your skin that dries it out so they can sell you lotion to moisturize it back. And it's like a cycle of products. They're like, you know what? Humans have had healthy skin for 100,000 years. If you just don't do anything to it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's the same thing when you think about your self-esteem, right? Is that if you're worried about what people say about you and then you're trying to fix it and do that, then you're actually making the problem worse. Where if you just did nothing and you were just yourself and your full expression, you would have so much more success.
If you can get just completely clear and literally in the moment, like breathing and just meditating and thinking about nothing, trying to clear your head of thoughts and impressions. That's why my Now-ist meditation takes 1 minute. I do it every morning. I do it every night. I mean, some of the more advanced spiritual teachers don't meditate at all because they don't have to, because they condition their awareness to just wake up and I'm in this awareness. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm getting close where I can do this 1 minute meditation in the morning. I do it at night. I'll do an open-eyed, what's called a divergent meditation. The same meditation, but I just do it with my eyes open while I'm walking, while I'm, where I'm someplace where I'm away from people in the park or near the beach. You can do these meditations to program yourself, but they only take 1 minute. The Now-ist meditation, it's in my book, my YouTube channel, billymandarino.com, the Now-ist. If you go to my YouTube, I've got 500 free teachings on there. The Now-ist meditation's on there. There's just so much free teaching. I just want to serve people with this message and this mission of mine, because there's no reason that this thing, your thinking mind, should not be taking you out of the dreams you want to actualize. The opportunity you have to be who you want to be in this world and not be limited by your thoughts, your erroneous thoughts, or your neighbors, or your friends, or the media. You're here to make manifest the joy that you are to this planet. So you need to find that purpose, find that present moment, and then expand and find out how you can serve other people. Once you get there, you just want to give it away. Like that Hafiz quote that I sent you earlier. You just want to give it away.
I love it. And I think a great place to start wrapping up, but is the 1 minute meditation WONE? No, just say. Check out Billy Mandarino at billymandarino.com. The book is Now-ist. Billy, do you want to play a game? I
love games.
All right. We are spinning the wheel. There are 10 games that it could land on, and you got awkward questions. Awkward. I think it's 3 times in a row here for awkward questions, but I got some new ones for you. Let's start out with one. I'll start out with an easy one. And that is, you live in California here, so this might be an easy question. If you were homeless, but could choose any city to live in, which city would it be?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry you chose that question, because I live in arguably the best city in the United States, Santa Barbara, California. Our average temperature is 70 degrees year round. I don't take it for granted. Please come visit. It's amazing. It's called the American Riviera because the weather is, and the ocean, the mountains is gorgeous.
I thought that would be an easy question.
I'm thankful. I'm blessed to be grateful to be here.
All right. So now we're upping the degree of difficulty. If you could send one celebrity to exile on a remote island, who would it be?
Send them mean like they're not good. They're like these bad people, like get out of here.
Yeah. And just tell them to take a break. Maybe hit the pause button on somebody and send them to a remote island there for a little bit.
Celebrity. Geez, that's a tough one, because I love everybody, right? Because
I know, that's right. Yeah, we're up.
The hate just doesn't get it done, but I can't go political on this, but celebrity, I guess, I don't know, Marilyn Manson.
Oh, interesting. Well, there you go.
I don't know. The energy out of that music and that vibe doesn't feel that good. So,
well, there you go. The best answer I've heard so far, I'll share this one with you, is somebody that sent themselves and their favorite celebrity to the island. They switched it around.
That's great. That's playful.
Yeah. All right. And then if you became president next election, what would be the first thing you would do?
I would mandate that everybody had to meditate in the morning. Everybody in the United States had to meditate for at least, 5-10 minutes every morning, like everybody. And then Dalai Lama says, the way to heal the world is to, if you taught, the next generation of kindergartners to meditate for 1 hour a day, there'd be no need for war again. You would shift, because the Dalai Lama is a scientist. I mean, he knows that quantum physics, you would shift the energy of the United States. Yeah. There'd be no need for war and homelessness and hungry people. So just getting in that present moment through meditation, getting quiet. I mean, this great quote says, all man's problems stem from his inability to sit quietly in a room alone. I think John Emmerich said that. Don't quote me on that, but anyway, that quote sticks with me.
That's what Google's for. Yeah. So last one, do you have a favorite question that you like to ask people, or an awkward question for me?
I love awkward. Okay, if you had one record, one CD, I don't have CDs anymore, one album that you could take on your desert island, just one, what would it be?
That one's kind of hard because I'm a huge Bare Naked Ladies fan. Are you familiar?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Such great
chicken.
Positive.
In the bone stock chicken.
Yeah. That's 1 week. So I guess I would just have to go with their greatest hits, but they might have an album better than that. I really liked one of their new ones, but it's fun, it's playful, it's upbeat, and they're really smart guys. So they all actually they put like 4 rhymes to the word orange in one of their songs, just because
orange can't be rhymed.
Everybody said, it can't be rhymed. So they did door hinge and others that I thought were like, that's about as close as you can get, huh? Yeah.
They broke the record.
So, I mean, just smart and funny and playful for
that
no
makes
reason.
sense. That makes total sense. You Playful Humans, this is your show, and you got probably one of the most playful bands in history. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's super fun. All right. For completing our awkward questions, you get a free 30-second commercial here. Asks or gives for our audience. How can we help you?
Well, I would rather help you. So if you go to billymandarino.com and you click on any of the social media links, so you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on all the social media sites. If you wait for just a second, once you go to my site, there'll be a free challenge that pops up. It's create a magnetic vision for your life. So I teach you in 5 free videos, really short videos, how to magnetize your awareness, how to magnetize your point of attraction. So I want to give you a gift. And of course, my book is on Amazon. It's on Audible. I recorded the entire thing speaking to it. I create some original music around the book that's in there as a bonus. So just check out billymandarino.com. It's the hub. But my mission is to create this legion of Now-ist, people that are out of stress and overwhelm and anxiety. And I'd love to be of service to you. So wherever you are, I wish you all the blessed.
Yeah, thank you so much, Billy, for taking the time to chat with us today. Again, the show is brought to you by Playful Humans. It's a playful community of other adults trying to rediscover the power of play. What that means is you're getting ideas, inspiration, answers to questions that you can't Google, like we talked about here today. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, go to playfulhumans.com and check it out. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the likes, notifications, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time. Go outside and go play, everybody.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine.